Hey class, Prof JC here. I want to start by saying one more time a huge congratulations on this milestone. I think the stats are something along 10%, 11% of the US population gets a master's degree. That means 1 out of 10 people earn a master's degree in their lifetime. You are now a part of that 1 out of 10 people who earned a master's degree. And I know for a fact that many of you were juggling a lot during these last 18 months of accomplishing this degree. And so I just applaud your work. I applaud your effort. You know, some of you overcame opposition to get to where you are today. Some of you had babies during this program. Some of you had professional disappointments. Some of you had professional successes during this program. Some of you are trying to raise kids. You're trying to keep your marriage in balance, trying to keep your life in balance. You're trying to build a career all while doing this. And I just have a lot of respect for what you've done. And once again, just congratulations. And I hope that you're proud of you. I know I speak for all the faculty when I say that we are so proud of you, but I hope that you feel that same sense of pride in the work that you've done. Our final video here today, and I was thinking about if I could leave something with you, and there's probably about 100 things that I could talk about, but in my own life right now, as I'm reflecting on certain things that are happening in my life, I've seen 3 men in recent weeks who were very influential for me who passed away. They've recently passed away. And just in the last 2 weeks, I've watched 2 different funerals of what I would call great men. These are great men. One was nationally known. He was a pastor that I grew up listening to because my parents were listening to him on the radio all the time. And one was just a local hero in my community. If I mentioned his name, you wouldn't know his name. If I told you what he did with his life, you would say, okay, that's kind of it's decent, right? He just lived his life in a small town of less than 30,000 people. But what he did there was he made a huge impact in that little town. He was deeply impactful for me. He helped build a Christian school. He ran for office. As a matter of fact, he ended up sitting on the local city council, the local county commission. He helped build the YMCA there, just all kinds of things. He won one of I think it's called the Sagamore of Wabash, and it's one of the highest awards that you can win in Indiana. And he was presented that award. He was just somebody he was just an incredible human being. And this other pastor that I'm thinking about, you probably would know his name. You might know his name. He passed away, and it made all the news. I mean, he was globally influential. But there's a unique aspect about men and women who do great things. And I've had the privilege in my lifetime of being around some really, really great men and women. Some of them who have made local impacts, some who've made international impacts, right? They've been deeply impactful on an international stage, some on a local stage. But it's amazing to me that when I'm around truly successful people, and when I say successful, I don't just mean money, right? The older you get, the more you realize it's not just about money. As a matter of fact, people who just chase money, if that's all they're going for in life, if that's you, if that's where you're at, and I don't think that's any of you, but people who just chase money, you and I have met people like that, and they tend to be pretty miserable people. Money can be a byproduct, and I've met some very successful people where they've earned a lot of money as a byproduct of their work, of their passions, of what they've committed their life to. But money hasn't been the thing. But I was writing down the other day what really, with the people that I know. Now, this isn't a data set. This isn't based on research. I'm going off of people that I know as I've listed out each of these people, each of these men and women who've been very successful in their fields, whatever their fields are. Every single one of them have, I would say, 3 things in common. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. And as you go out with this new master's degree and you go out and you tackle the world and you take on the world, my encouragement is to to live a life that one day somebody will say this of you, right? That when you live your life and you think about, and I hope all of you get to the age of 85, 90, 100. I plan to live till I'm 100 years old. That's one of my goals, is to live to be 100, and I hope the same for every single one of you. But that when our final breath is taken, that whether it's on a local level, whether it's just in our neighborhoods, whether it's on an international level, whether it's on a global level, whether it's on a national level here in the United States of America, whatever it is, that you will have people who stand up and say things about you at your funeral, at your memorial service, at your funeral, that they would say, this person, you, made a deep impact on them. And here's how I think you do it, right? Here's how I think you become the kind of person that other people look to and they say, I want to be like that. And here's what I've seen from the people that I've looked up to, from some of my mentors. Again, this isn't research, but here's what I've seen. Every single person that I've looked up to in life, the ones who've passed away recently, the ones who I have followed throughout my life, they all have this in common. And number one is this: every single person who leaves a deep impact on the people around them, they are directed by principles and values. They're directed by principles and values. Now, what are principles? Right? I talked about this in the video last week, but most of you didn't have to do that video because you were doing other things. And so I won't say too much about this, and you can go back and watch the other video if you want to. But principles are unwavering rules for life, unchanging, unwavering rules for life. We've talked about this a little bit in the class, so I won't belabor that point. But the question I would say is, do you have principles? Do you have them written down where you can read them on a daily basis, or at least on a weekly basis? Do you have principles that, for those of you on the call who have children, that you're passing down to your children? You're helping them build a legacy based on these principles. So principles, again, are unwavering, unchanging rules for life. Values are a little bit different. A lot of people get these mixed up. Values are behaviors that you want to see for the specific season that you're in, right? So when you're young, you have different values. When you're ages 0 to 19 years of age, you have different values from maybe a person who's in their 20s than a person who's in their 30s and a person who's in their 40s. I will tell you this: I have different values today in my 40s than I had, when I was in my 20s. What I care about, what I expect out of myself in terms of behavior. But here's the thing: values, you can always tell a person's values by how they behave. That's the key. Values, you go to a lot of companies, they put their values up on the walls and they talk about, what they value. If it's not borne out in the behavior of the team members, if it's not borne out in the behavior of the organizational members, of your family, of your community, whatever it is, they aren't real values. Values are always connected to behaviors, okay? And great people, great men and women, are always directed by principles and values. And I would say this: for the ones that I know, they actually have them written down. Here are my values, and here are the behaviors. And here's the great thing about the values, right? Here are my principles, here are my rules, and here are my values, here are the behaviors. And so what the values help somebody determine is that these are the behaviors that I will accept out of myself, and these are the behaviors that I expect out of the people who are around me. Right? I expect these behaviors out of my children. I expect them. Obviously, you can't make your children be who you want them to be, right? But you can influence them in certain directions. But your friends, you can. As a leader, you can hire based on values. And that means you hire based on behaviors, right? So you do the best you can. You can retain individuals based on behaviors. Right? So you can set the culture. This all goes into culture. You can set the culture for your team, for your organization, based on saying, here are the behaviors that I want to see. And you can list those out. So that's number one. Every great person I've ever met in my life that I've been able to work with, that I've ever worked for, they're all directed by principles and values, and they usually have these written down, and they can go to them on a regular basis. Number two is this: great people, great leaders are guided by purpose and vision. Great leaders, great people are guided by purpose and vision. Now, what is a purpose? A purpose is the reason why you exist, right? If you build your own organization, you've got to be able to define that. What's the purpose? What is the problem you're trying to solve in life? And I would say the same thing for you as a person, as a human being. What's the problem you're trying to solve in life? Why are you here? Right? There's 7 billion people, I think almost 8 billion people on planet Earth. You're here for a reason. I believe that. That might be my faith background, but I absolutely believe that, and I'm going to teach that because I believe that. And so the question for you to figure out is, what is your purpose? What problem are you trying to solve? And it may not be some major world thing with water or clean air or global warming, or it may not be the big ones that are hugely important to where we're trying to go. It may just be being a great mom. It may just be being a great dad. Right? I've met some single dads, not single dads, some stay-at-home dads in my lifetime, and when you talk to them, and they've been they've been blessed, I would say, to marry a partner who does well financially, so they're able to stay home and just kind of be with the kids. And I've talked to some of them, and I'm not necessarily wired like that, and so that's why I've had conversations. Tell me about you. Why is this something you've chosen to do, especially in a world that we live in, where it's like men are supposed to go out and earn the money, right? And I'll talk to I think of one in particular I was able to talk to, and he just said, "Man, this is my calling in life. Is to I married someone who's very driven, who's very successful, and I just want to be a great dad to my kids. I want to raise these kids." And he's doing it, right? He's living his purpose. So it could be from that. It could be a stay-at-home mom, but it also could be building a great organization. It could be building a nonprofit that really impacts, a local society. It could be building a product or a service and getting that product and service out there into the marketplace, and because you believe in what it's trying to do. And maybe it's a product or service, like I think about people who make pens, right? They may not, now, I mean, you can find purpose in this, right? Like because of this pen, I can get thoughts from here onto a sheet of paper that will then help me as I'm accomplishing goals, or as I'm trying to see direction in my life, right? So you can find purpose in almost anything, right? But there might be jobs out there where people think, well, there's not a lot of purpose in this. Well, I would encourage you to find purpose in it. And even if you can't, find purpose that can come out of that job, whatever it is. But you've got to be guided by purpose. And then vision is what you can see. Okay. So an example I give a lot of time is the fact that for me, I know not everybody in the class is located in San Diego, California. I'm located here in San Diego, California. Most of you are. If I am getting ready to take a vacation, and I say I'm going to New York City, the vision is New York City. I can see it, right? I will know when I'm in New York City. Right? It's not some weird thing out there, some ethereal thing that I can't figure out. I will know when I'm in New York City. That is the vision. And here's what I know. Great people, great leaders are always guided by purpose and vision. Again, they're directed by principles and values. That means deep within them, their belief system, it's set, right? That's the direction that they have. It's unwavering. Right, but then they're guided as they think about, where am I going in life? Where am I going in life? They're guided by purpose and vision. And then the third thing is simply this: great leaders and great people are driven by mission. Now, again, a lot of times I hear people talk about the vision and mission, and they interchange these two, and they think that a vision is the same as a mission. It's not. Vision is what you can see. Okay, it's the destination that you're trying to get to, right? With your organization, with your team, with your family, with yourself, right? It's all there. The mission is how you achieve that vision. Okay, how you get there. So if I'm going to go to New York City from San Diego, I see the vision. The vision is New York City. Now I've got to decide: am I going to fly there? Am I going to rent a car? Am I going to drive there? Am I going to take a train there? Am I going to fly halfway there and then maybe take a car? Am I going to stop, right? What highway am I going to take if I decide to drive? If I decide to fly, what airline am I going to take? Am I going to take one stop or two stops or three stops? Or how is this going to, look? There's many ways to get to New York City, right? The mission is how you decide that. And great leaders, great people are always driven by mission. And all of this that I'm talking to you is usually it's bigger than yourself. It can't just be about you. And I think that's the greatest key. The greatest leaders that I know, and I'm getting chills even sharing this with you, because if I can leave anything with you, it's this, is that the greatest leaders out there, they're not about themselves, right? Now, obviously they are. Sometimes they've got to eat, they've got to, they've got to go home, they've got to sleep, they've got to take care of themselves, but they get up every day, they get up every single day, they lace up their shoes, they put one pant leg on at a time, or, however they get dressed, and they go out in the world, and it's about some kind of mission out there. It's about something that they're trying to do in the world. And so I just want to encourage each and every one of you as you're thinking about your next steps, and that's kind of what the LOI was for, right? The line of inquiry is to figure out a problem out in the world that you need to solve. And it doesn't mean that you can't be selfish. It doesn't mean that you can't think about vacation. It doesn't mean you can't think about that nice car you want to get. It doesn't mean that you can't think about the nice home that you want or the certain salary that you want. But once you set that out there and you set an intention, I want to make, I don't know, I'm throwing out a number, $150,000 next year, right? Maybe you're throwing that out there. I want to make that. So you set that intention, you say, that's what I want, or I want this brand new car, I want this brand new house. These are all things, okay? These are okay. You've got a master's degree, right? You've got tools to go out there and earn these things and get these things. But once you say that, then you leave that on the shelf and you say, now, what problem am I going to solve out here? Who am I going to serve? How am I going to give the rest of my life away? And that means in every field that you're in, you're consistently thinking, and I think we've talked about this in this class. If we haven't, I don't have time to go into it now, but it's the whole motto, and it's something we talk about in my family a lot. We're trying to get this into our children, this idea of approaching the world. There's a motto that I think I'm coming up with for my own life, and I think it's going to be something along the lines of lead with love, the results will follow. And I think that might be the motto that drives the rest of my life. Lead with love, the results will follow. And I believe that. Now, love isn't, again, we don't have time to go into all this, but love is, what's the definition? It's seeking the highest good for other people. If you go out into the world every single day and you're directed by principles and values, that means that you have a core set of rules and you have a core set of behaviors that you say, I am directed by every single day, and I don't waver from this no matter what's, no matter what approaches me. And then you say, I'm going to be guided by purpose. That means I seek out what the purpose is. And if I don't know what it is, I figure it out. I do the hard work of figuring out what my purpose is. And then I try to figure out what the vision is. Where am I going in life? Right? Where's my team going? Where's my organization going? Right? All of that matters. And then you're driven every single day by the mission on how do you do all that? Okay, and your principles and values that you're directed by, they help you as you try to make decisions and if you're going to make mistakes or whatever, all of that comes back to your principles and values. When things come up and you have opportunities to do things that will take you away from you say no, I know what my principles and values are as I'm achieving this mission, right? But then every single day you're driven by that mission, whatever that mission is, and hopefully all of it is there to make the world a better place. And so that's what I'd have for you. That's my hope for you, is that in your life, as you're moving forward in your own leadership journey, in your own personal journey, that you would be directed by stated principles and stated values. That means you've taken the time and you've written these down, okay, and you've really thought through, what are my principles and values, that you're guided by purpose and vision, that you know exactly what it is that you're meant to do in life, the problem you're meant to solve, and that you're driven every single day by mission. One foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, so that you will achieve that mission, whatever that mission may be. And at the end of your life, when people are talking about you and they're thinking about you, that they would say that they'd stand in front of all the people that are going to be there at your church, right? Or there at your community center, wherever it is, right? Or there at the park, maybe they're going to spread your ashes or something, but they would say, because this person lived, I am a better person today, and I've achieved my goals and I've reached my highest potential because this person was in existence. If that can be said about you, that, my friend, is what I would call a successful life. I wish you all good things. and I wish the most for you. The questions for this video are going to be down below. They're going to be in Canvas, so feel free to look in there and find those questions, answer those questions, and I'll see you here. I'll see you there. I'll see you on the other side. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on this milestone. You take care. I wish you all good things.